So the recording has started. So thank you so much for Patty for hosting this. And I'm going to turn it over to you. If anyone has any questions that they would like to pose, this is a fairly small group. You're more than welcome to unmute yourselves, or you can place them in the chat, and I will go ahead and facilitate that conversation, read out those questions. So it's whatever you feel more comfortable with. So thank you.
Okay, so for anybody who's just joined, I'm saying that I'm not always going to be I'm Patty Sussman. I'm not always going to be providing the solutions. I'm looking for ideas because I know I have a lot of people who've been doing e-content for a while. I'm hoping that a lot of the Epool people are on here right now. So I'm going to get started with a little PowerPoint I prepared. So I'm going to go to that right now. And here's the agenda I'm going to start with. Consortia, how we're doing, the youth services boost, suspended delivery, holds, reducing the strategies, lucky day, weeding, an e-content consortia collection development policy. I want Joanna to talk about manga, and I'm going to end with some stats from 2019 versus 2020, and then some Q&A time.
So Patty, we don't see that PowerPoint. I don't know if you need to share your screen.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Okay,
That's okay.
Hold on a second. Shoot. Come, I don't see the blue jeans on. Blue jean. I don't even see you guys anymore. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Here you are. Okay, I'm sorry. Here it is. That should make a difference, and I'm
there we
going
go.
to.
Yep,
Yeah.
perfect.
Sorry about that. Afternoon slump here. So here's the agenda for today. And how come it's not moving here? Oop. Back one, sorry. So how are we doing? So I gave some of these stats at a system services meeting earlier in the week, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself for some of you, but I just wanted to give you an idea about where we were. So this is where we were at the end of December. You know, our goal was 123. We were at 119 users. We were at 13,563, and our average waiting period was 30.91. A lot of that had to do with about, I'd say, the top 10 or 15 titles for Overdrive that were popular were Macmillan titles where we could only buy one copy of them. So this is where we were at the end of March. And so I want to say that a lot of these goals happened when things turned south. Circulation went over a projection to 102%. Users were up to 113% of goal. And the average waiting period had a goal of 28.22 and was actually at 27.21. Also, Macmillan ended their embargo, I believe, on March 18th or 19th, and so we could purchase additional copies of some of our most popular titles, American Dirt, etc., which also helped with our holds ratio. And so this is a purchase titles report for this period from March 16th. Oops, sorry. No, it's starting on its own. So this is where we were, and I just want to say that, you know, so here's where the consortium bought, but here's where everybody stepped up to the plate, and as soon as things started closing down, they started ordering copies. And I appreciate each and every one of you who moved money from your print budget to your e-content budget, and started placing orders for what is essentially our library right now. Um, so kudos to everyone for stepping up to the plate. And then I mentioned it at the meeting this morning, and I'm giving a shout out again. I just wanted to point out this trend in checkouts by title audience report. So this is where we were in February. As you can see, juvenile was 7.2, young adult was 6.5, and adults were 86.3% of the collection. In March, it was juveniles had jumped up to 11.5% of the collection. And as I showed this morning, adults are now like 76%. So the juvenile collection and the kids are starting to use the Overdrive collection, which is a good thing. It means that our readers are still going to be out there coming up the pike, and it also didn't hurt that Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was a simultaneous use download. Who doesn't love Harry? For your information, if people didn't notice, this is a feature that went live in March. It's delivery later or suspended holds. A user will now be notified when a hold is ready to borrowed. Once notified, the user can borrow the title within a 3-day pickup period, select deliver later during the 3-day pickup period, and cancel their hold. If the user takes no action from a notified hold, they will automatically select the title for redelivery after 7 days. The user will keep their place in the line and be notified when the title is available for them again. If the user takes no action a second time, the hold is automatically canceled. When a user chooses to deliver later, their hold is tracked as a suspended hold in marketplace tooling. And I know that you guys have all seen that. So we imagine that suspended holds have increased across libraries. This is a response from Kristen. Have increased across libraries as patrons are learning of a feature of what wasn't previously available. The title does move to the next patron waiting when someone suspends their hold or opts to deliver later. Suspended holds, including deliver later holds, are not included in the holds ratio. So let's get back to holds. So in December, we had an average waiting period of close to 31 days. At the end of March, we were at 27.21 days. As of yesterday, our waiting period is 21.69 days. Grace is telling me she would like us to get to 14 days. I've told her I'm not sure how realistic that is, but we're certainly headed in the right direction. I just want you all to remember that the hold ratio doesn't include pre-order titles, suspended holds, or copies designated for Lucky Day, and that's including Advantage Plus copies shared with your library. How are we doing? Do we have any questions? Are we okay?
We do have a question. It is focused on the overall how money is spent. So I'm going to recommend that we hold that one to the end of the Q&A. But we did receive a question about if you could explain about Lucky Day.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm looking for ideas about how to reduce the holes. And so one of the things, and I know I had talked about it at previous Epool meetings, we have 33 titles right now that are over a year old. Can we vote today to recommend deleting them? Or I'm going to look through that list again because I think some of them can be moved. you know what a pain in the neck it is. There's sometimes several editions of a copy, and this one copy has expired. There is actually the top hold is from 2016. That might move us to 15 days if we get rid of it. But it's a 2016 hold for Girl in the Window or something that we definitely have copies of. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. It's from Liberty. So we can definitely look at those 33 titles. But like in our regular catalog, if a hold it expires after a year. So I think it's fair. Unfortunately, there's nothing that says that. Maybe we can put something out in RCLS or something if we agree to that. I think it's fair that if we don't fulfill a hold after a year, consider it a moot hold. And then we've already changed the default to 14 days, and I think we got rid of the 21 days option totally. Also, if I just want to say, I want to repeat this, if you see a problem with something, please mention it to Jerry or I or Joanna. If you see something that looks odd or old or whatever, please say something about it. This is a recommendation from our Overdrive rep. She says, obviously you want to address those titles with hundreds of holds, but it's the one with 1 to 3 holds from 2019 that are impacting the time the most. Does that make sense to everybody? Because she says this may be even canceling holds on expired content. If you're not interested in repurchasing the title, if the hold is still active, the title is available for sale, there's no pre-orders, and the user has been active in the last 90 days, these holds are being included in the wait time. So if you were to sort your holds by date it was placed and sort it by ascending, I think you would get the oldest orders up at the top. So just something to look at.
Patty, I'm going to ask a quick question. So it sounds like we have some outliers that are really kind of skewing the data. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, there's a bunch of things. Hold on a second. Let's go to that. So there are outliers that are skewing the data, but then there's also I assume that most of the people in here know this. I mean, there's titles that because of whatever reason, like one of our most popular titles as far as holds go is the Four Agreements. Now, that publisher decided no longer to make that title available. So we have one copy, one user, and there's probably 50 holds on it or something like that. And we can't purchase it anymore. So that's going to skew it too. So there are certain things that are going to skew it. But if we get rid of those holds, we're definitely going to drop a fair amount, I'd say, again. But after that, when I talked to Kristen about it, she said that she was saying that most people of our size and budget have like 24 to 27, day waiting periods. So, but that's under normal times. I mean, we're in extraordinary times right now, and I can understand Grace's idea of trying to get to that level, and I like the idea of reducing it down as much as we can. But I do believe there has to be some kind of balance as well. So this is just something to keep in mind if you're looking at things, if you want to reduce the holds for your members, take a look at some of your older holds, and that might help reduce things as well.
Excuse me, Patty. So
yes.
I have been doing that all along, but there are a number of things that I'm just not going to buy. So should I delete those holds?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I wish there was a way that we could just, kind of send something nice to them like we do when we decide not to purchase something. If there was some kind of automated response we could send out. but I don't know that Overdrive offers that. But yeah, I know. I'm not going to buy everything either. And and certainly we can't. We just don't have the money to, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and that is something that we can do is just go in and cancel those holds.
Uh, I'm not sure if that's a Jerry. Is Jerry on this call?
Not to my
Benji?
knowledge.
Okay.
No, I don't
Uh,
believe he is.
um, because I don't know if I don't know if I can cancel them. I know I can cancel, I can return books and other things, but I've never played with canceling holds, and that's something that Jerry's done in the past as a universal thing. So I have been talking to him a little bit about it, but I'm not sure. Do you know do you see that as a function when you're in an Advantage library, Mary?
I've never looked for it, but I will go ahead and look for it. And if I
Yeah.
can, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just talk about Lucky Day a little bit. It's not available in the classic Overdrive experience, so just remember that. I mentioned in the class this morning, and it's something to just bring up. So the classic Overdrive experience, you can recommend titles, but in Libby you can't. You can just make them a favorite. So when you do that report that says recommended titles, just remember you're skewing it slightly to your probably older and more experienced Libby, Overdrive users, because I would think that most of the younger people are using Libby because it's a smartphone, but just something to think about. And Lucky Day copies of titles can't be placed on hold or renewed. So this Lucky Day feature lets you turn off holds and renewals for designated copies of your titles and then promote them by creating Lucky Day specific collections. This way your user can have immediate access to in-demand titles. It's set for 7 days. It was changed to 7 days because it was originally at 14 days, and that just didn't make any sense. So who's tried Lucky Day? I think New City, Nanuet, and Pearl River have. I've tried it too from the consortium level. I made it anything. I'm not sure if I did it the exact right way. I'm still learning about it myself. But I for the consortium, I made it anything that we had 4 or more copies of. I let one copy go as a Lucky Day copy. And so when we started doing that, I just did a report last night, and overall throughout the consortium, we have 104 titles that are lucky, and we've had 597 circs with this feature. So it's kind of like your Express Books. You have it for 7 days, and you can't renew it.
In the chat, Angela has stated that she has purchased for Lucky Day, but has stopped since she heard that it's not just for their patrons.
Right, and that's true. So Lucky Day, like Brian Jennings said that he didn't care if it just went out to everybody. But yes, Lucky Day copies, if you're purchasing them, they go to the system. They go out to everybody. But it's shortening the holds. So it's something for Epool people to consider.
And Joanna has a question.
Uh-huh.
If someone has a hold on a book and they're able to check out a Lucky Day title, is it automatically taken off their hold list?
I knew the answer for that. I want to say yes. I'm not 100% sure. So I will double check on that. I think it is, or I think it is. I'm not 100% though.
And
So
just a
yes.
piece of information, Angela has stated that you can cancel a hold for a patron.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you, Angela. I wish there was something where, as the, you know, maybe an FAQ or something that they could refer to. I don't know, something that has some of our protocols. If we start doing some of these things, they'll be like, hey, what happened to my hold? I personally like it, if some of these people have holds on it for, since 2019, and they probably don't know how to cancel it or whatever, but um, it would be nice to have something that we could back it up with. So something to think about. Okay. So yes, so do remember that Lucky Day is open to everybody, not just your Advantage patrons. So if you order for the consortia, put in an extra copy or something if you think it's worthwhile as a Lucky Day copy. Um, but remember that it's open to everybody. Just a reminder that Jerry is the one who weeds and unweeds the collection. If you have a title, I know this can be cumbersome for some, but I still think it's better than having this huge holds list of expired titles. So I'm not sure I'm still working on fine tuning this, but if you have a title that needs to be unweeded, ask Jerry. Every quarter, metered access titles that are expired get weeded. I try and order all titles with 3 or more holds. This is getting harder and harder to do because our collection is getting bigger, and I only have a certain amount of funds. One or two holds are then distributed to libraries to see if they want to buy them again. There is a certain period where Jerry allows people to look over that list, and then he gives a deadline and weeds those titles. So I'm going to start talking about problems again. I mentioned it briefly this morning. So everything with the big 5 is going to metered access. Not just ebooks, but audiobooks too. A lot of them are. I don't have the specifics, but there is an American Libraries article on the future of ebook pricing, and just realized that Macmillan went to metered access with their books, but I think their audiobooks still remain one copy, one user. But there are, like Blackstone and a few others, have gone the way of metered access with their audiobooks as well, which means basically that every 2 years or 1 year, we have to think about if we want to reorder them or not. So that's a problem. I mean, I understand that's the way it works, but it's something that I don't look forward to. So I just wanted to say that in the beginning for me, I believe there was a long time ago before me, there was a collection development policy. I don't have the folder in front of me right now. Maybe Mary might remember. I don't know. But there was a breakdown of genres, how much we were supposed to have of one thing as opposed to another. But since my time, it's basically been demand driven. It's what people are looking for, what they want. I'm checking to, I'm trying to order things that have 3 or more holds. I'm looking to see what people are want in the collection with the title recommendations and other things. So I'm trying to do that plus balance expired titles. So with budget cuts, I'm sure that are coming up the pike, and metered access titles coming soon, I was wondering if a bunch of us could get together to maybe think about some kind of criteria. These are some of the questions I have. How high is too high? Some audiobooks are crazy expensive. should there be a hold ratio of a certain amount or more before a title that's $95 be placed? Penguin Random House titles are coming due this October. I remember in 2018, before this, when this was announced, I was trying to buy as many Penguin Random House copies as one copy, one user as I could before this policy went into effect. But, I can't buy everything. But they have a lot of series. So what's the priority there? Should I be buying and filling in series or just let them go? Should I buy Sue Grafton books or just look into getting the new titles? I want some help and some direction. If anybody would be interested in working with me on some kind of consortia collection development policy or ideas, I would appreciate it. Because if anybody has any thoughts or ideas, I would welcome them.
Sorry, Patty, I'm going to jump in because this is only a group of people who have signed up.
Okay.
I think this would be a great thing to pose to the rest of RCLS
Okay.
and gather a group. And I'm going to follow up with Jerry to see if there's something that exists that perhaps I'm not aware of.
There was something a long, long time ago. Like I think I have it in one of my files about it was like RCLS consortia should only buy like 10 copies of something. Obviously, it's gone out the door, but it's also we've increased our users so much, so things have to change. So
and according to the chat, there are several people who actually would be interested in
good.
being part of this.
Good.
Certainly there is a need and an interest.
Good.
So let me follow up, but I do believe I would recommend there be some sort of formalization.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. I'm just trying to bring I've mentioned it at other e-content things, but October is right around the corner, so I just feel like I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback from something, and I'm just not sure if everybody else can hear it. Is everybody else okay with the sound?
I just muted someone. It may have been on their end, but
okay.
We should be fine now.
Okay. So so that's one of my concerns too, and so yes, put it out to people. So I'm also playing devil advocates here, but Grace is going to kill me for saying this. But is our quest to reduce holds also at the cost of having a more balanced collection? I mean, because if this is the library that people are going to be using for a while, should we kind of focus on having a more balanced collection? I'm not sure. It's something obviously that we can talk about when we talk about this policy. I know one thing, I won't be able to do it without support. So thank you for people who volunteered, and we'll be talking. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting that Joanna was doing with the youth services was this manga series, cooperative. I'm going to call it Joanna. But if you're there, could you just type in and talk about it for a second?
Yes. So I had a meeting with the teen librarians, and it was mentioned that some of their teens, particularly in Anime Club, were looking for manga to read, and there was not a lot in Overdrive. But since there's such a wide variety of manga and so many titles to pick from, we decided that rather than me ordering a whole bunch for the system, we would kind of divide and conquer so that we could order more, because as Patty mentioned, there's only everyone only has so much money in their budget. So we had a brief meeting and we discussed which titles we wanted to start with. So we recently ordered a few manga titles and we ordered a few volumes in different series. And in about 2 weeks after the last person places their order, we're going to look at the checkouts for those titles, decide if we want to continue purchasing a particular series, if we want to instead purchase a different series, or, you know, kind of just assess the situation and see what we want to do moving forward. So a good amount of those orders were placed last week. Some people are placing their orders this week. So we are going to meet soon, in about 2 weeks, to talk about what our next steps are going to be.
Oh, good. But good for you for taking action. I did reach out to Kristen about the Penguin Random House, and she says they're trying to work on fine-tuning their metered access to figure out how to deal with it, because she's always said that, don't worry, metered access is only 23% of your titles, but she says not copies, because we know it's a lot of our copies. We know because it's all of the big publishers that are, it's nice that she says 23%, but it's something that we're going to have to deal with, and I'm not exactly sure how we're going to tackle it. Any other questions, Jen? Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Youth Services.
No, nothing else has come through, but I will say Joanna, Lori, and Lori have all stated that they are interested in assisting, but I'll capture the chat box for you.
Okay, great. Great. So I wanted to end, because I really don't, if you guys have questions and concerns, we'll do that at the end. But I wanted to end with some stats that I shared with System Services, because I thought they were interesting for you to I think this was shared with the directors, but sometimes it doesn't trickle down, and I wanted to share it with you guys on the forefront. And so I'm going to just let you over here. Okay, so this was some stats I did. So for System Services, a meeting on Wednesday, and so this is the first thing. This is circulations, the highest level of checkouts. So I was comparing January through April 2019, which was 149,266 circs, to what we had in April to the same period of time in 2020, which was 194,000 circs, 903. So you can see that as far as this goes, mobile phone users, which I was talking about earlier in the day, are those temporary digital cards. That has gone up 109.6%. They're our highest users because it's the easiest way to get into, I don't have my library card with me. Let me get a digital card. And then New City, Newburgh, Suffern, these are the top 15 highest levels of circ. So I just thought that was interesting. But there was some other interesting stats, which I'm going to show you on the next page. So, these are our biggest users as far as a percentage title, as a percentage of the total number of 47 users. These are the big users. So this is RCLS checkouts, that same time period, but this is the increase in the number of checkouts. So this is slightly different, and this is slightly different. So I have the full Excel spreadsheet for all 47 libraries. If your library didn't make the cut here, it did go out to directors, I think. But if you want a copy, just let me know and I can email it to you. But the third one is the one that I wanted to show, because I found it interesting, and a shout out to the small libraries, because okay, so mobile phone users, Florida Public Library, April 2020, 1,335, checkouts. So that's a 63% difference. Gardner Library, New Cities still 47.4%. All of these libraries that might be your smaller libraries, but they've made a difference in either reaching out to their public or just letting them know that it's available. So it's one of those things that you can show your board that you're making a difference. Even though you might be a small fish in a large sea, you're still reaching your users. And just a shout out to those libraries. I thought that was a really interesting statistic. So,
Patty, what does total refer to? Because I'm adding up the numbers under the totals, percentage total, and they're not coming to 100. So is that, what does that refer to?
percent totals is percent total of the 40, of the libraries. It's the percentage increase. It doesn't come out to, sorry, hold on, let me go back. I did it by a mathematical formula. I think I'm okay with it, but it's a top percentage increase. What is it coming out to?
Well, I mean, like the percent total. So, for example, mobile phone users is 7.7%. 7.7% of what, though?
Of users of all of the checkouts total.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So even though Florida might be just 0.7% of the of the total, that might be a lot of users for them, that 1,335 checkouts. I'm just saying it's something that a smaller library might say, yeah, we're still making a difference. We have our users. I just thought it was an interesting stat to share.
And that's RCLS checkouts, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And that's total checkouts,
this is
physical
e-content.
and
This is e-content checkouts. Yes. E-content checkouts. Overdrive checkouts. Just Overdrive. And then I just have, does anybody have any questions or concerns they want to ask me about?
So there was a question that came up earlier about funds. There's three parts to this question. So the first is, how much do we pay RCLS for the e-content pool? How much does RCLS spend on the e-content pool? And then how much on average do libraries spend on advantage titles?
Okay, so let's try. I don't have all of the answers to all of it, but that first one, that e-content pool, could you repeat that first part of the question?
Sure. How much do we pay RCLS for the e-content pool?
Okay, this was based on a formula I believe that Robert came up with as far as usage, population. It was some kind of mathematical formula. I don't have it with me, but I know that Stephen gave it out to the directors, and I think it's based on usage, your population, and your budget. And I think there was a minimum amount you had to put in. Are there any directors here that might know the answer to that? I guess the answer is no.
Patty,
Yes.
It's Lisa Lako from Warwick. I think your answer is exactly right. I just
Yeah.
wanted to chime in. I don't have the numbers either, but it is a function of population and your library's usage, and everybody contributes at least $500 per quarter, I want to say.
There's a minimum amount that everybody has to contribute, and then it's based on usage and population. So, okay, what was the second question out of that?
Sure. So this, let me just get back to it. The second question was, how much does RCLS spend on the e-content pool?
So originally it was 100,000 that was spent, and then in 2017 or I think 2018, because 2017 is kind of like when I found out about all the expired titles, and I was like, we have all of these holds on things that people don't want, people want, but we don't have it, and I was just showing them, how much usage had grown, that it went up another 50,000. So it's about 150,000, give or take, funds or grants. I know that Jen, you and Joanna and Eileen can speak about this, that RCLS just recently put in some money for additional money for buying some e-content. Joanna, I think, got a grant for some read-alongs too. I know Grace sometimes gets things for other foreign language grants. So I don't know the full amount, but for consortia as a whole, it's about 150,000. And then plus, I want to add plus 25,000 for nonfiction, which is like when I place those orders every twice a month, like nonfiction comes out of the 25,000 Newburgh Central Library money. And we actually, before Beth shoots me, we have upped that to about 31,000. I don't know what the exact number is, but we probably spent along with probably close to 32,000 with some other money, because I had made comments to Beth that a lot of people, there was so many political books that were coming out. Sometimes, there's years where, fiction is kind of lower, and then, these nonfiction books are more popular. And I was just saying, people are really are asking for nonfiction, and then when it expires or whatever. So so we have that money, and hopefully, that doesn't get reduced at all with budget cuts, etc. And I don't know if I can answer the third part of that question, which is how much does each library spend as far as Advantage goes. I think it's different per library. I will say that I was saying this in the meeting this morning, that Newburgh as a whole really hadn't been spending a lot, I guess because we were central library, for Advantage titles, and then when Advantage Plus came around, I said maybe we should start putting some money towards it, so that if our patrons are waiting for a long time, that we can order more titles. But with things as they are, we definitely put some of our money towards buying some more Advantage titles, which I think most people did if they could.
Okay, we have a couple of pieces of information in the chat. Beth has clarified 37,000 from Central Library in 2019 to 2020.
Thanks, Beth.
There's a question if that the number that you had stated, that 100 or 150,000, that's per year, correct?
Correct. And the year starts the RCLS year, which starts in July. Correct? Yeah. Or no, I apologize. That is wrong. That's Newburgh. So your year starts in January.
We're the calendar year.
Yes. So RCLS starts in January. And then
there's a question for clarification. What's the connection with Newburgh Central Library?
So I don't know if Beth wants to chime in here.
For the Epool, we don't really have much of a connection because that's fiction, and Central Library, the state aid that goes towards Central Library purchases can only be nonfiction. So just to clarify, when I say we spent 37,000 from Central Library funds, it's really, we just upped it for the nonfiction. So we really don't have anything too special to do with the Epool funding. It's just that Patty, because that's fiction, it's just that Patty does the purchasing. So that's the Central Library connection there.
And it has to be adult nonfiction, right, Beth?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And one thing that came up in the morning that I also wanted to say that Central Library does is we purchase the magazines, correct?
Yes.
With
Yes.
Central Library money?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, and there's a question regarding Epool. If there's some information that exists in a LibGuide or such, who can explain Epool to the newbies who don't have a clue about the program?
Okay. Epool, Epool is for people who want to order for the consortia. I don't think they wanted everybody in the pool when it started, but if you're interested, because then it just gets more and more complicated. But I'm sorry. I'm kind of getting tired because I've been talking for a few hours. But ePool is you're buying for the consortia. You're buying for the greater good of all 47 libraries, as opposed to buying for just your Advantage library. So you're looking to see where the problems are, and then ordering for the consortia. There's about I want to say about 8 or maybe 10 libraries that contribute. You know, some contribute more, some come in, some go out, and it all depends on where they are with that. If you wanted to be part of the ePool, I would probably have you or your director mention it to Grace.
And there's a further question about ePool. Questioning, so RCLS ePool is fiction only, and the consortium is boosted by Newberg. Does Newberg purchase nonfiction and magazines for the consortium?
So yes, so the answer is we purchase the nonfiction and the magazines for the consortia, and I guess as far as you know, since it's been going, we've been purchasing the fiction. But I believe, I mean, some of those cards people are putting in nonfiction as well. You know, some of the cards in the consortia, or just, you know, realize that when you're buying things for your Advantage library, it's being shared as consortia. If your library isn't using it, it's probably getting used by somebody that is you know, not in your library, but it's being shared. What I explained in the morning was that basically, if you're an Advantage Plus library, because basically that's where we're at now, if you purchase something for your library, it is exclusively for your library. You own those titles, and it's exclusively for your library for 1 week, and then it gets shared with the consortia, but your patrons always have priority to those titles. Does that help answer questions?
Yep, and Beth has clarified in here that nonfiction and magazines are purchased by Newberg for consortia with Central Library Aid, not ePool. There is a question regarding the difference between Advantage and Advantage Plus.
So Advantage Plus is what we started out, I mean, I think it started in 2010, and it's a way for you to buy. So we had this shared. You know what? Maybe I'll just bring up that whatchamacallit, the slide from yesterday, from this morning. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So, so realize that the shared collection is the consortia. Your Advantage collection is what you might purchase that might appeal. You can buy things that are. Hold on a second. I'm going to get my papers from this morning that explain it. I'm getting a little punchy now.
Come on, Patty. It's only 2 p.m. on a Friday.
I've been up. I've been up a long time preparing these things. Okay.
I believe it.
Okay. So Advantage has basically morphed into Advantage Plus. Um, So this Advantage Plus program started in 2017. It says under the new program, titles are not transferred to the pool, but are instead belong to the individual libraries, but are able to be accessed by all system users. Originally, the program was going to be exclusive to Advantage libraries for the first 3 months, but after a discussion at a Directors Association meeting, it was decided that they would move directly to allowing access to the other libraries. Because if you're purchasing something through Advantage, your patrons, your specific, let's say your Tapan patrons are always going to get priority. That's why if patrons question, hey, I was third on the list, but now I'm 5, it's because of that movement with Advantage Plus copies. So I'm hoping that explains it. I will say this too. It's only exclusively for your patrons for a week. So if you purchase it on a Monday, the following Monday it becomes available to the consortia. So if nobody is waiting from it for it from your library, then it gets shared and it might be taken out by somebody else. But if there was a second or third patron that wanted it, they would have priority. So realize that.
There's a question of clarification asking if Advantage and Advantage Plus then are essentially the same thing.
Yes, Advantage Plus is, yes. Advantage was the old thing and it's morphed into Advantage Plus.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? We do still have time.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I'm on my phone and it doesn't offer an option to type in the chat. This is Lisa from Warwick.
Hi, Lisa.
And my question was about cost per circ. Can you explain what that is? And this idea that it might have something to do with being able to support book groups?
Yes. So I talked about that a little bit, and I can go down in these slides too because I did talk about that in the morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have attended that one too.
No, that's okay. So I had those links. I think I closed those links, but hold on a second. Let me see if I can just copy it here and go to it. If I can. It says the page isn't found. I can send you stuff on it, Lisa, but basically, if you go into, hold on, I'm gonna go into Overdrive. I'm sorry. I'm gonna move Jen over here. I'm gonna go into Overdrive. So basically, Lisa, if you go into Shop and you go into Cost per Circ,
right?
Sorry, it's not. Let me just make it bigger. Why isn't this not working? Hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the screen right.
Take your time.
Yeah. Okay. Oop. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not figuring out. So when you add cost per circ titles, you only pay for the titles that you use as borrow. So I wanted to let me see if I can show you this better. Hold on a second.
Patty, while you're bringing that up, I just want to bring up Kim in the chat has stated that she thinks Hoopla is good for a book club since it's cost per circ, and that her book club is reading Bel Canto by Anne Patchett this month, and the movie is on Hoopla too.
Oh, I just did one also with my group. I did Call Your Daughter Home by Deb Spera. It's available as an audiobook, and I had it was quite a good book, and but it's for those libraries who don't have that as an option, because not all libraries have Hoopla, that this is a good option. So I'm sorry, for some reason I can't move my thing up and down my my page. Oh, good. Okay, here it is. So this gives you an idea, Lisa. It's some of it was a lot of HarperCollins has a lot of their back history books. I mean, like, not some of their newer ones, but look. So Little Fires Everywhere is here, and the cost is $5.50 per ebook. So you could put in, $100 towards cost per circ in your budget. I can send you the links for it. I had them open this morning, but I can send you the links for it, so just so you understand it a little bit more. But you can limit it to $100 and just make your cost per circ on one title, and you can tell and this is just for your patrons. You can make this title available to them. If you have an email list of your book club people, just say, hey, you can access Little Fires Everywhere on our page, send them the link for it, and they can purchase it, and then you can shut off your cost per circ too. You can revoke it at a certain point. If there are other people that are in Warwick, for instance, that might want to take this book out because now it's a huge, thing on Hulu right now. So, yeah, it's something that's definitely an option, because I had a few libraries reach out to me for other options other than a classic from Project Gutenberg, and so this is something that's available.
That's great. Thanks. Any link you can send me. I mean, I see it here
Yes.
on my screen.
Yeah, I will. I'll send you some links, Lisa.
That would be awesome, because I think, honestly, Overdrive has much the better collection than Hoopla. We certainly use Hoopla in Warwick, but in terms of organizing a book discussion, the options, I think, would be greater through Overdrive.
Well, you know what? It's just a matter of, like, not all of Overdrive is cost per circ. So you just have to see what's there and figure it out.
Right.
But yeah, I'll send you the information on it. Does anybody
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Does anybody else want that information as well?
So in the chat, people do. So perhaps this is something we can send out in that follow-up email then.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's a question in the chat. Does anyone understand why Hoopla is flat rate for checkouts, while Overdrive is all over the place with costs?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Overdrive was here first. I used to say, I mean, and no, I probably shouldn't say this because this is a taped meeting, but there's a difference between some of the things in Overdrive as opposed to some of the things in Hoopla's definitely more pop culture, but certainly it surprises you. Sometimes there's titles in there that are good, like American Marriage. It has Yellow House right now, which and it has a few titles in there that are book award winners, and you're just like, wow. So you just have to curate it and look to see. And sometimes they're just available as an audiobook. Sometimes, it would be nice because you have patrons that are like, oh, can I get this as an ebook? I prefer to just read it. It would be nice if, there was an option for both of them, and sometimes there's not. But, we have to do with what we can. I don't know about the pricing. That's a mystery of the publishers, and it's constantly changing. Supposedly, when some of these metered access, the older back issues or back titles become available, they were supposed to be at a cheaper price. We'll see if that happens. I actually am liking that some of the titles, it's giving you that option of 24 months or 12 months, and sometimes I'm just buying 2 copies of the 12 months because sometimes it might be just a popular title that's getting a lot right now. If I see that there's 24-month copies that are out there, sometimes I'm just looking to just satisfy the need for it right now by populating it with more copies. So any other questions?
Kim has asked, and with Hoopla, you can only read on a Kindle if your Kindle has access to an app store, right?
I'm not 100%. I know that there are some limitations with some of the Kindles. I can send that to you. But it is pretty. It is, I feel like, from where we were years ago. I mean, it's very easy. And as I was saying in this morning's session, I think Hoopla's marketing is much better for us. They were constantly sending us stuff. They constantly are, even in social media and stuff like that, you can get things easier. But Overdrive does have a marketing kit you can find in support, but it's just not as jazzy. I've complained about that to Overdrive. I said, you should up your game as far as marketing goes. So.
All right, thanks so much, Patty. So it's after 2:00 at this point. Lori says she's able to read Hoopla titles on the desktop. So at this time, we are going to end the recording.